Hey, welcome back today with another episode here on Third Coast Reptile. It is late November, so the temperatures are starting to fall, and that means there's changes going on here in the reptile room. We're going to go over some of those changes and how to watch them and monitor them, as well as what to look for in your tortoise to make sure they're happy and healthy here as those temperatures drop. Let's get started. All right, we're going to take this moment right here to talk about what happens in the event that you lose power in your reptile room. So many of your reptiles depend on these basking bulbs and water systems that run on electricity. What happens when you no longer have electricity to provide for that? Well, there are some solutions that you can do real quick, remedies, if you will, that you can do to take care of your reptile room and make sure everybody stays nice and warm until that power gets restored. So, option one, let's talk about this. Let's say you look at your app, and like for us, we have Consumers Energy, and they tell you power is going to get restored in a couple of days. Well, for the most part, in that situation, I don't think that's going to be a big issue. You want to make sure that your reptile room does not get cooler than 65 degrees. If it does get colder than 65 degrees, you can take your reptiles, out of your reptile room, put them in a tote with some heat packs, and then that should take care of the problem temporarily until power is restored. Now, if it's a longer term situation, say a week or so, and you know it's going to be cold and less than ideal situation here in the reptile room, there is another viable option that's actually pretty smart, and that is to get yourself a ventless wall heater. They run on propane or natural gas. They're self-sufficient. They don't plug into anything. They run on batteries for the igniter to run the pilot. They're relatively cheap. I think you can get a whole setup for under $200, especially if you buy one used, which I would strongly recommend. The propane heater you can set up in a central location, or you can hang it on a wall. They're ventless, so you don't have to worry about fume emissions or anything like that that could harm your tortoise. They stay nice and warm. They'll keep your reptile room nice and comfortable for your reptile, and they don't kill your wallet in the meantime. If those options are not viable, in other words, you can't access propane at the time, or you don't have heat packs available, the other solution is you could take them and bring them with you in your car and turn the heat on in your vehicle. This is something that is like emergency based, something that you really just don't have any other options. Worst case scenario, you can also get in contact with your local vet or rescue. Most of those times, they'll be able to harbor those animals for you until safe conditions return, and you're able to bring your reptiles back into the reptile room. And yeah, that's kind of our safety warning today. I know that with wintertime, we really are relying on electricity, and those are some of the things that you could do to kind of help out in the event of losing power. Back to the show. As I mentioned, we're going to go ahead and deal with these cooler temperatures, being that it's wintertime here in Michigan. And actually, it's pretty warm out today, so it's kind of warm in the reptile room itself. However, in the recent weeks coming up to today, it has actually gotten cooler here in the reptile room. And what that means is there are areas that may be less than ideal for your tortoise. And the ways to check, you can see if your tortoise is actually getting in environments that are too cold, rather. You'll notice that they will be, you gotta see this here, guys. Hold on. This is live in event here. We've got fighting going on here in this enclosure. Let's see what's going on here with these two. I know this is not comfortable. That can't be comfortable for you. Let's get him flipped back over. I know I can't save them all the time because I'm not in here, and they have certainly the capabilities of flipping back over, but if I see them like that, I'm going to flip them back over. So, as I was saying, here in the reptile room, when you notice that your tortoise is sitting in one spot, not moving around, that can be an indication that the temperatures in that enclosure are, in fact, too cold. Another way to verify the temperatures is this little handy tool right here. You can pick these up at any big box hardware stores. What it is an actual laser pointer heat indicator. And one thing to watch out for with these is you don't want to get them, you don't want to point the laser right in your eyes. That could hurt your retinas in your eye. The other thing you want to make sure too, the temperatures that you're checking is a surface temperature. So if you're pointing it through glass, you're actually going to get the temperature of the glass and not what you're pointing it at through the glass. Keep that in mind when you're using the tool. It's really simple. You just hit the trigger here, and then your display pops up, and it tells you what that temperature is. You can set it to Fahrenheit, Celsius, and for like 20 bucks, it's a good reassurance policy. So let's go ahead and check Benny and Stella's enclosure here and see what they're. So we're going to go ahead and look in here, and we'll start with the basking area here, and we're at 122. That's really warm for them. Let's check back here in the colder areas though, and you can tell it's 74 degrees back there. So, even 77. So, sorry about that. So, as far as their enclosure is concerned, it's plenty warm in there. Benny and Stella have been moving around through the day. I'm not really concerned about them. But what if you did have an issue? What if it was too cold in one area? What would you do? Well, there's a couple options. For instance, here, I have added a second light in here to make sure the whole area gets covered and stays warm. The other thing you can do is actually lower the height of that basking bulb to make it a little bit more effective. Now, you have to be careful because rule of thumb, you don't want that light to be less than 6 inches clearance over their shell because that could cause them to actually burn their shell and harm your tortoise. We certainly don't want to do that. So that is one way we can go ahead and make sure that your tortoise enclosure is actually warm and stays comfortable for your reptile in general. I'm going to go ahead and put that thing down there. And the other thing we want to be concerned with when it comes to these cooler temperatures is drier air. That's right, because the wintertime, you actually have drier air. That's why you have to wear more lip balm and take care of those cracked lips because your hands get dry, your lips get dry, you get nosebleeds. It's a wonderful time of the year, right? Well, reptiles are no exception. They're at the mercy of humidity, and they require a lot of humidity, especially species such as the redfoot tortoise. So things you may want to consider are actually moving that water dish closer to your basking bulb and changing the water more frequently. Another option you may want to do is actually do more mistings. The other cautionary point here with that is you want to make sure that when you do the mistings, you do them early in the morning so it gets a chance to dry out throughout the day. The last thing you want to do is create a formula of cold temperatures and cold water. That's a respiratory illness waiting to happen. We don't want that either. We're trying to help our tortoises not create bad situations. So best case scenario, you want to go ahead and mist in the morning, allow it to dry, and then if you find that your tortoise still needs a little bit more humidity, go ahead and move that water dish closer to the basking bulb, and it'll evaporate that water and create ambient humidity in the room a little bit higher than it normally would be as well. In addition to that, you want to make sure that your basking bulbs are in a safe height, but maybe lower them just enough to where they're a little bit more effective for your reptile. Make sure that they're active and looking around and not just sitting in one spot cold. You can also feel the temperature of their shell. If it feels cold to your hand, then they are cold, and that's not good. And don't forget, you can use this handy tool here to verify the colder spots or the cooler spots in your reptile enclosure are actually safe for them as well. So this was a quick, fun video today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you made it this far, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe notification there on YouTube for me. It kind of helps me help you and get engagement to the audience and all those wonderful things. So I appreciate every one of you guys and girls. Thanks for watching. By the way, I'm going to get t-shirts here pretty soon. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that. Bye. GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording.